Welcome back, troglodytes. I thought a V Les Paul was going to be the rarest Les Paul I could ever bring you guys, but we got one even more rare than that. Not rare by numbers, but definitely more desirable by a lot of people. I'm throwing you off with the case because this is the case burst owners use, so I gave this guitar this case that I've been saving back. This is a true Gen 1 chainsaw case. You have the rare gold logo. And the true Gen 1s only have 2 latches. The back latch didn't exist until Gen 2. These things themselves sell for, $300, $400 just because it didn't have the original back latch. Only thing to mention on this case is this hinge is done. It's rusted through. But the other 2 work fine, so it works okay. So what is more collectible and desirable and iconic than a V Les Paul? Well, no, it's not a 59 burst, it's not a vintage gold top, but even more so, this iconic guitar, the Slash Snakepit. This was a very limited run. It is the first Gibson and Slash guitar. There's been many others to follow, but this is the first one that they really teamed up on and made this quite a spectacular piece. There was initially only 50 of these supposed to be made. However, later in the year they did decide to do another 50 due to how popular this model was. And this one is part of the later 50. This is a 1998. They were made in 96 through 98, but most people will just say they're in 87 because that's kind of like the official year that they were done. But there she is. So besides just being a very iconic piece, it's the first Gibson Slash team up here. It has some very unique characteristics that have never been done on a Les Paul before this or ever again in this case, as far as I'm concerned. Now, the Slash Snakepit, that is the name of one of his first albums where it's just him playing guitar, not a Guns N' Roses or anything, but this was his logo. Now, that's not just a cheap decal or something. That was actually carved into the wood. You can see how it's actually raised. So they actually had to carve down the top around that to create that. And that is very unique. That's one of the big things for this. As well as, obviously, the fretboard. You got your ebony fretboard with mother of pearl snake. And that thing is gorgeous. Absolutely beautiful. So there was 100 of these made. Slash had 4, and one of the prototypes, the snake, is actually flipped this way, so it'd be better for viewing. But of those 4 he got, 3 of them were stolen, so he only has 1 himself right now, and these are very rare pieces. I never thought I would actually have one of these in my hands. So let's take a look at this. It's not every day that you see one of these. Once again, it is a very desirable model, the most collectible Slash model. So you kind of have the abalone look to the mother of pearl logo. Kind of looks snake-like again. Up on the headstock. Now you do see, this one was played. You've got some wear on the sides of the headstock. As you can see there, some wear in the lacquer. As well as some string change scratches. And what's unique about the way Gibson did this is there is a little bit of sparkle in the finish of this guitar. Not a lot, but some. So it kind of looks like dust, but in that case it's not. There are a few little upgrades. The nut has been replaced on this guitar. It's not the best. I would suggest getting it professionally replaced because it's not glued in And in order to get the action a little higher, I put some blue masking tape, so you can kind of see that sticking out there. I kind of adjusted it up because I was getting a little bit too much fret buzz up here. However, if you're just going to collect this guitar, nothing's really needed. However, if you're planning on playing this one, I would suggest a fret level. There's about 6 or 7 frets that are just a little bit higher than the other ones. So if you want the really super low action, you'll probably have to get a very light dressing done. So once again, this is an ebony fretboard, and here's your snake logo inlays. Now there's over 100 pieces that make up this inlay, so it's quite spectacular. Got the king cobra going on here. Got its white underbelly and it's kind of abalone-ish looking backside. Very cool. A lot of attention to detail on this guitar, going all the way down to the last fret there. This is what really makes the guitar special. Now, these are Slash Alnico Pro 2s. I don't believe they're original to this guitar. However, they could be, because that is what originally came with it, but at the very least they've been taken out and put back in at one point in time as viewable in the pickup cavity, not pickup cavity, but control cavity. They have the Slash logos on the back, and the ABR1 has not been slotted, but it plays pretty well. It has a very fat Slash tone to it. I don't know if it's just because, it is a Slash signature model. It makes me want to play Slash songs, but this thing's very powerful. Once again, you can kind of see the light sparkles in the finish as well. You've got a nice flame top on this one. By no means is it like a AAA top, but it has some nice figuring underneath as well as some decent flame. I do have a chip in one of the knobs. All the stuff on this guitar, easy to find replacements for. This is a late 90s model, so not too expensive if you wanted to replace that with an original part. So once again, nice flame. You do have some light nicks and dings. It was played. Most prominently is that one right there. We'll take a look at the Slash logo again. Very cool. And when you're playing, you really don't feel it because your arm usually kind of rests there, so you don't have to worry about that if you wanted to play this one. And then the switch tip here, give you a look here. It's kind of been like sawn off and like rounded, so it's possible that's been a replacement part. It was like too long to fit or something like that. Very cool guitar. On the back side, not too much interesting back here. It's mainly a showpiece from the front, but this is still every bit of a collectability instrument. Not 100% original, but it's not trashed or anything. You do have some binding bleed. It's a very dark cranberry finish, so you can see kind of how it turns the binding kind of a rose color. There's some more of that sparkle in the finish. Alright, the back of the guitar. Turn the brightness up here so you can kind of see, there's some light scratches, but you could probably polish most of that out. Kind of got something right there. You can feel it, so you can almost maybe get rid of that. But this, it looks like kind of a stand got to it. It's a little rough there. And some just general wear. Got some more of the sparkle in the cutaway there. And the binding's like no other binding I've seen. It's more of like a peach wood color. It's really kind of cool. And you've got some light wear on the side of the guitar. But Jack has a couple little cracks on the sides there. And you do have strap locks put on this one. You can see there's a little bit more of a rub there in the finish. So unfortunately, I don't have the original case for this one. The original case is kind of a bland looking black case. It just says Gibson Custom and Historic. I have one very similar to it. I think it came from an Epiphone slash one, so if you'd rather have that, I can substitute that in instead of the chainsaw case, but I mean, I think if you're going to have this kind of investment, you need the strongest case money can buy, and that's the Generation 2 and 1 chainsaw cases. So, if you think you might be interested in being the next owner of one of the rarest slash Gibson guitars, feel free to contact me on my Facebook page, facebook.com/Troglis. TROGLIS. I'd like to thank you for watching, and we'll catch you next time.